Admiral Vextar stood before the massive viewing screen in his command center. The stars stretched endlessly before him, each one marking territory under Korthak control. For 2,000 years, the Galactic Confederation had kept peace through careful balance. 5 great empires shared the galaxy like pieces of a puzzle. The Zephyrians controlled the inner systems with their advanced technology. Their ships could bend space itself, and their computers could think faster than any living mind. The ethereal collective ruled through mental power, reading thoughts and controlling minds across vast distances. The mineral lords of Proxima had claimed the richest asteroid fields and mining worlds. The Harmony Alliance kept everyone talking instead of fighting, and the Korthak Dominion, Vextar's people, maintained order through military strength. It worked perfectly. Every species knew their place. Vextar turned as his aide approached. Commander Thek carried a datapad with nervous movements. The young officer's scales were pale with worry. "Admiral, we have another report from the Outer Rim," Thek said. His voice shook slightly. Vexitar took the pad and scanned the contents. Another pirate base destroyed. The 3rd one this month. But these weren't normal raids by rival gangs or Confederation patrols. Something else was hunting in the dark spaces between stars. "Tell me about this ship again," Vextar commanded. Thek pulled up the security footage from the destroyed pirate station. A single vessel appeared on screen. It looked small compared to proper warships, maybe frigate-sized. Its hull was strange, covered in angular plates that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "The pirates called for help before they went silent," Thek explained. "They said a ship approached their base. When they demanded tribute, as is normal in that region, the ship opened fire." Vextar watched the brief battle recording. The unknown ship moved differently than anything he had seen before. Its weapons fired in precise bursts. Each shot found exactly the right target. Weapon systems, shield generators, engines. The pirate ships were disabled one by one with surgical accuracy. "What happened to the crews?" Vextar asked. "That's the strange part, sir. They were rescued. The attacking ship destroyed all weapons and engines, then sent shuttles to evacuate everyone. They left the pirates on a nearby planet with supplies and a warning never to raid civilian ships again." Vextar's heavy brow ridge creased. This made no sense. Pirates were vermin, yes, but they served a purpose. They kept smaller species afraid and dependent on the great empires for protection. This mysterious ship was disrupting the natural order. "Do we know who they are?" Thek hesitated. "The ship broadcast an identification signal, sir. It claimed to be Terran." Terran? Vextar had never heard the name. "We checked the Confederation database. There is a species called humans from a world they call Terra or Earth. They achieved faster-than-light travel about 50 years ago. Their colony ship was granted safe passage through our space as a courtesy." Vexitar laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "One of the newcomer species thinks they can play at being warriors? How many ships do they have?" "Unknown, sir. Our records show only their original colony vessel and scattered reports of individual ships in various sectors." The Admiral walked to his tactical display. It showed the locations of all reported Terran activity. The pattern was clear once he looked for it. Every incident happened near trade routes where pirates operated. Every engagement ended with the criminals defeated, but alive. "They're trying to clean up the Outer Rim," Vextar realized. "These humans think they can impose their own version of order." He turned to his aide. "Send a message to the Confederation Council. Tell them we have a situation developing in the outer territories. A new species is disrupting established patterns of control." Thek made notes on his pad. "Should we classify this as a threat, sir?" Vextar considered the question. The humans had superior weapons. That much was clear from the battle recordings. But they were merciful to their enemies and seemed interested only in protecting trade routes. They weren't expanding territory or demanding tribute. In many ways, they were doing what the Confederation claimed to do, maintain peace. But that was exactly the problem. Not a military threat, Vextar decided. A political one. If word spreads that a single ship from a primitive species can destroy pirate fleets, other worlds might start asking why they need the Confederation's protection. The aide nodded and prepared to send the message. Vextar returned to studying the tactical display. Each red mark showed where this Terran ship had struck. The pattern revealed something about human thinking. They weren't random. They chose targets that would save the most lives while sending the strongest message. Across the galaxy, similar reports reached the other empires. The Zephyrians received data from their automated monitoring stations showing impossible weapon signatures. The ethereal collective found their psychic scouts reporting a species they couldn't read, minds somehow shielded from mental intrusion. The mineral lords discovered mining operations were suddenly safer, as pirates avoided entire sectors. The Harmony Alliance received grateful messages from dozens of worlds praising their mysterious new protectors. In the Great Council chambers on Nexus Prime, representatives of all 5 empires gathered for an emergency session. The chamber was vast, designed to demonstrate the power and unity of galactic civilization. Each empire's section reflected their nature. The Zephyrians sat in chairs that floated without visible support. The ethereals appeared as shifting energy, forms barely contained in physical bodies. The mineral lords wore expensive jewelry that could buy entire planets. The Harmony Alliance representatives smiled and nodded at everyone. The Korthak delegation stood at attention in perfect formation. Chancellor Morden of the Harmony Alliance called the session to order. His species resembled large, peaceful bears with silver fur and gentle eyes. They had never known war on their homeworld, and found conflict personally distressing. We gather today to discuss the situation developing in the Outer Rim territories, he announced. Reports indicate a species calling themselves humans has been engaged in what can only be described as vigilante activities. Admiral Thexani of the Confederation Navy stepped forward. Her people, the Altarians, were one of the founding members of the Confederation. They resembled tall, elegant birds, with feathers that changed color based on emotion. Currently, her plumage showed deep blues and purples, the colors of concern. Our analysis suggests these humans possess technology significantly more advanced than their known development level would suggest, she reported. They appear to have capabilities that match or exceed our own in several categories. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The Confederation's technological superiority was the foundation of their authority. If a newcomer species could match their weapons, it challenged everything. Lord Kexrin of the Mineral Lords spoke up. His people were short and stocky, evolved from burrowing creatures on high-gravity worlds. They wore environmental suits even in standard atmosphere, preferring the familiar pressure of their underground cities. Our concern should be economic, he stated in his mechanical voice. If piracy decreases, demand for our security services will drop. Several worlds have already reduced their protection contracts. The ethereal representative, known only as the Voice, communicated through pure thought. Its words appeared directly in the minds of all present. We cannot perceive human thoughts. This has never occurred before. All minds are open to us, yet theirs remain closed. They are either highly evolved psychically or possess natural mental defenses. Dr. Zelnara, the Confederation's chief science advisor, approached the speaking platform. She was Zephyrian, her blue skin marked with the silver patterns that indicated high intelligence among her people. I request permission to establish a formal first contact protocol with this species, she said. We need more information about their capabilities and intentions. Chancellor Morden nodded. Approved. But proceed carefully. If these humans are as capable as reports suggest, we don't want to provoke them unnecessarily. In the depths of space, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution. She was reviewing reports from other human ships scattered throughout the galaxy. The Endeavor mission had been just the beginning. Humanity had not sent just one colony ship into space, but dozens, each heading toward different sectors. The pirates and slavers they encountered reminded her too much of humanity's own dark history. The decision to act had been easy. The consequences would be more complex. Captain, her communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from something called the Galactic Confederation. They want to talk. Chen smiled grimly. She had been wondering when the local powers would notice their activities. Open a channel, Lieutenant. Let's see what they have to say. Fleet Commander Graktos stared at his tactical display with satisfaction. 12 heavy cruisers surrounded him in perfect formation. Each ship carried enough firepower to glass a small moon. His crews were veterans of dozens of campaigns, trained in the proud traditions of Korthak warfare. The mission was simple. Find the mysterious Terran vessel, demand its surrender, and bring it back to Confederation space for examination. If the crew resisted, disable their ship and take them prisoner. Standard procedure for dealing with upstart species who forgot their place in the galactic order. Contact on long-range sensors, his sensor operator announced. Single vessel, bearing 27 Mark IV. Graktos moved to the tactical station. The target appeared as a small blip on his screen. According to the readings, it was barely frigate class by Confederation standards. His flagship alone massed 3 times as much. Magnify visual display, he ordered. The main screen showed the human ship in detail. It looked different from anything in Confederation databases. The hull was dark gray, almost black, with angular surfaces that seemed designed to deflect sensor scans. No decorative elements or ceremonial markings. It looked purely functional, built for war rather than show. Scan their weapon systems, Graktos commanded. His tactical officer worked at his console for several minutes. Strange, sir. I'm detecting energy signatures, but they don't match any known weapon types. The ship appears to have some kind of defensive screen, but it's not standard shield technology. Graktos wasn't concerned. Unknown weapons often proved less effective than established designs. His cruisers had been tested in real combat for centuries. Some primitive human technology wouldn't change that. Open communications, he ordered. The screen flickered and showed the bridge of the human ship. Graktos was surprised by what he saw. The humans looked remarkably similar to several other species, but their eyes were different. They looked directly at him without fear or submission. The female in the center wore simple gray clothing with minimal rank insignia. I am Fleet Commander Graktos of the Korthak Dominion, he announced in his most intimidating voice. You will surrender your vessel immediately and prepare to be boarded. The human female studied him for a moment before responding. Her voice was calm, almost conversational. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Navy vessel Retribution. You are interfering with peacekeeping operations in this sector. Withdraw immediately or be considered hostile. Graktos couldn't believe what he was hearing. This primitive creature was giving him orders. His bridge crew exchanged looks of amazement. In 2,000 years of Confederation history, no species had ever spoken to the Korthak with such casual defiance. You misunderstand your situation, human, Graktos growled. You face 12 heavy cruisers. Your single ship cannot hope to resist. Surrender now and your crew will be treated according to Confederation law. Captain Chen tilted her head slightly. Commander, I don't think you understand. We're not raiders or pirates. We're military personnel conducting lawful operations against criminal elements. Your interference makes you accessories to their crimes. Accessories? Graktos roared. I am a fleet commander of the Korthak Dominion. We bow to no one. The human's expression didn't change. Then you've chosen your side. Retribution out. The communication ended abruptly. Graktos stared at the blank screen in shock. No one had ever hung up on him before. The insult demanded immediate response. All ships battle formation, he commanded. Fire a warning shot across their bow. Show them what real firepower looks like. His flagship's main plasma cannon charged with a deep thrumming sound that vibrated through the hull. The weapon was designed to crack orbital fortresses. A single shot could vaporize most civilian vessels. Firing, announced his weapons officer. A brilliant blue-white bolt streaked across space toward the human ship. Graktos expected to see their shields flare and overload. Instead, the plasma simply dissipated against an invisible barrier. Its energy scattered harmlessly into space. What happened? He demanded. Unknown, sir. The plasma made contact with something, but it wasn't standard shield technology. The energy was absorbed or redirected somehow. Before Graktos could respond, his proximity alarms began screaming. The human ship was moving, not toward them or away from them, but around them. It accelerated smoothly to speeds that should have torn its hull apart, yet showed no signs of structural stress. All ships, target that vessel, Graktos ordered. Fire at will. 12 heavy cruisers opened fire at once. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and fusion missiles converged on the human ship's position. For a moment, space blazed with enough energy to sterilize a continent. When the light faded, the human ship was gone. Where is it? Graktos shouted. Unknown, sir. It just vanished from sensors. Ships don't just vanish. Find it. The answer came, in the form of explosions. The cruiser Savage Claw suddenly lurched as its engine section erupted in flames. Then the Bone Crusher lost its main weapons array to precise strikes. One by one, Graktos watched his fleet being systematically destroyed. But the human ship remained invisible. Sir, we're detecting some kind of cloaking technology, his sensor operator reported. But it's not matching any known signatures. Whatever they're using, it's completely new. Another cruiser, the Iron Fang, lost power as its reactor was surgically shut down. The crew were alive, but their ship was dead in space. Graktos realized with growing horror that the humans weren't just defeating his fleet. They were demonstrating complete technical superiority while showing mercy to his crews. Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel, his communications officer announced. Put them on screen, Graktos growled. Captain Chen appeared again, still calm and professional. Behind her, Graktos could see human crew members working efficiently at their stations. They showed no signs of stress or excitement despite being in the middle of a space battle. Commander Graktos, you have two choices, Chen said. Continue this engagement and lose your remaining ships, or withdraw and report to your superiors what happened here. You cannot defeat the entire Korthak Dominion, Graktos snarled. We're not trying to defeat anyone, Chen replied. We're trying to protect innocent people from pirates and criminals. Your choice to interfere made this necessary. As if to emphasize her point, another of his cruisers lost its weapon systems to invisible attacks. The human ship was moving around his formation like a ghost, striking with impossible precision. Graktos looked at his tactical display. 9 of his 12 ships were disabled. His remaining vessels were intact only because the humans chose to leave them that way. The message was clear. They could have destroyed his entire fleet if they wanted to. What are you? He asked quietly. Captain Chen's expression softened slightly. We're humans, Commander. We come from a world where we learned that sometimes good people have to fight to protect those who can't protect themselves. We didn't want this battle, but we won't run from it either. Graktos had fought dozens of species across his long career. He had seen cowardice, bravery, desperation, and rage, but he had never encountered anything like this calm certainty. These humans fought without anger or fear. They seemed to view violence as simply another tool to accomplish necessary tasks. Withdraw. Your remaining ships, Commander, Chen continued. Return to your commanders and tell them what you've seen here. Tell them that humans don't seek conquest or territory. We just want to make sure the innocent are protected from those who would harm them. The communication ended again. Graktos stared at his tactical display, counting his losses. In less than 20 minutes, a single human ship had reduced his proud fleet to scrap metal and rescue operations. Commander? His tactical officer asked quietly. Orders? Graktos considered his options. He could continue fighting and lose everything, including the lives of his crews. Or he could retreat and face the shame of defeat. Neither choice appealed to him, but one at least preserved the lives of his people. Signal general retreat, he ordered finally. All disabled vessels prepare for evacuation, we're going home. As his remaining ships moved away from the battle zone, Graktos watched the human vessel appear on his sensors again. It made no attempt to pursue or attack his retreating forces. It simply resumed whatever patrol route it had been following before the encounter. The fleet commander realized something that chilled him to his core. The humans had won this battle without breaking stride. They had treated his veteran fleet like a minor inconvenience, something to be dealt with quickly before returning to more important work. What kind of species could do that, and how many more ships like the Retribution were out there in the darkness between stars? Graktos began composing his report to Confederation Command. It would be the most difficult message he had ever sent. He had to find words to explain that. Everything they thought they knew about warfare had just been proven wrong by a species they had dismissed as primitive newcomers. The age of Korthak supremacy in space was over. The humans had made that clear without even trying very hard. The question now was what the rest of the galaxy would do about it. The emergency session of the Confederation Council convened in the deepest chambers of Nexus Prime. Representatives from all 5 empires gathered around the circular chamber, their usual ceremonial atmosphere replaced by urgent concern. The defeat of Fleet Commander Graktos had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Chancellor Morden called the session to order with unusual formality. His normally gentle demeanor showed signs of strain. The Harmony Alliance had built their entire philosophy around peaceful negotiation, but the humans seemed to operate by completely different rules. We have received detailed reports from the Korthak engagement, he announced. The implications are disturbing. Admiral Thexani activated the chamber's central display. 3-dimensional images showed the battle from multiple angles, recorded by Korthak sensors and automated monitoring stations. The assembled delegates watched in silence as a single human ship systematically disabled 12 heavy cruisers. Analysis indicates the human vessel used technology we cannot identify, Thexani reported. Her feathers had shifted to deep purple, indicating serious alarm. Their weapons appear to be energy-based but operate on principles unknown to our science. Their defensive systems are equally mysterious. Dr. Zelnara rose from the Zephyrian section. We have been studying all available data on this species since their first appearance. Our findings are Unprecedented. She gestured, and the hologram changed to show anatomical scans of human physiology. Humans are bipedal mammals with relatively standard body structure. Nothing in their biology suggests superior intelligence or natural weapons. Their homeworld, designated Sol 3 or Earth, appears to be a standard terrestrial planet with normal gravity and atmosphere. Then how do you explain their capabilities? Demanded Lord Kexran of the Mineral Lords. Dr. Zelnara's skin patterns shifted to indicate deep puzzlement. That is what disturbs us most. By all measurements, they should be an average species. Their technology appears to have advanced impossibly fast. 50 years ago, they achieved their first faster-than-light flight. Today, they demonstrate capabilities that exceed our own. The voice of the ethereal collective projected its thoughts directly into the minds of all present. The mental communication carried undertones of confusion and something approaching fear. We have attempted to examine human consciousness through our psychic abilities, the voice communicated. We cannot penetrate their thoughts. This has never occurred in our recorded history. All minds are accessible to us, yet humans remain completely shielded. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. The Ethereals had served as the Confederation's intelligence service for centuries. Their ability to read minds and detect lies had prevented countless wars and conspiracies. If they couldn't understand human thoughts, it represented a massive gap in the Confederation's knowledge. Perhaps they have natural psychic defenses, suggested Chancellor Morden. No. The voice replied. We detect no psychic energy from them at all. It is as if their minds exist in a different dimension from our perception. We cannot even sense their emotions or basic thought patterns. Lord Kexran adjusted his environmental suit before speaking. Our economic analysis shows concerning trends. Human activities in the Outer Rim have reduced piracy by 70% in affected sectors. While this protects civilian shipping, it also eliminates the need for private security forces. Several worlds have canceled protection contracts. You're concerned about profits while we face a potential threat to galactic stability? Admiral, Vextar of the Korthak interjected. Everything is connected, Kexran replied coldly. The economy is power. If humans can provide security more effectively than we can, they become the dominant force by default. Dr. Zelnara activated new displays showing human ship movements throughout the galaxy. Red dots indicated confirmed sightings, while yellow areas showed probable human activity based on reduced piracy. Our tracking suggests at least 30 human vessels are operating independently throughout the galaxy, she reported. They appear to coordinate their activities despite being separated by vast distances. Each ship operates with complete tactical autonomy while maintaining strategic cooperation. 30 ships cannot threaten the entire Confederation, Admiral, Vextar protested. We have thousands of vessels. Quality versus quantity, Dr. Zelnara replied. If each human ship can defeat 12 of our cruisers, their 30 vessels effectively equal 360 of ours. And that assumes their ships are identical in capability, which our analysis suggests may not be the case. She changed the display to show technical comparisons. Human vessels appear to be constructed using materials we cannot identify. Their energy signatures suggest power sources far more efficient than our fusion reactors. Their weapon systems operate on unknown principles, and their defensive capabilities exceed anything in our experience. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Confederation's military superiority, the foundation of their authority, for 2 millennia was being challenged by a species they had barely noticed. Chancellor Morden cleared his throat. What do we know about human intentions? Are they planning conquest? Dr. Zelnara consulted her notes. Our analysis suggests not. Human activities focus exclusively on protecting civilian populations and eliminating criminal organizations. They have shown no interest in territorial expansion, resource extraction, or political control. They appear motivated by moral considerations. Moral considerations? Lord Kexarin's mechanical voice dripped with skepticism. No species achieves interstellar capability based on morality. There must be practical motivations we haven't identified. Our research into human history suggests otherwise, Dr. Zelnara continued. Human civilization has developed concepts of justice, protection of innocence, and self-sacrifice that appear to be genuine cultural values rather than strategic deceptions. The voice projected another thought. If they cannot be read psychically, and their motivations are genuinely altruistic, they represent a completely unpredictable factor in galactic politics. Admiral Thexani stepped forward. I recommend we attempt formal diplomatic contact. We need to understand their capabilities and intentions before making any strategic decisions. Agreed, Chancellor Morden nodded. Dr. Zelnara, you will lead a diplomatic mission to establish communication with human leadership. There may be a problem with that approach, Dr. Zelnara replied. Our analysis of human communications suggests they do not have centralized leadership in the way we understand it. Their ships appear to operate independently under broad guidelines rather than specific orders. Admiral Vextar slammed his massive fist on the table. Impossible. No species can coordinate military operations without central command. Yet the evidence suggests humans are doing exactly that, Dr. Zelnara replied calmly. Each ship makes independent decisions while somehow maintaining strategic cooperation. It resembles the hunting behavior of pack predators more than traditional military organization. The comparison to predators sent another wave of unease through the chamber. Every Confederation species had evolved from prey animals or peaceful omnivores. The concept of a predator species achieving space travel and maintaining their hunting instincts was deeply disturbing. Chancellor Morden made notes on his personal tablet. Begin immediate research into human biology and psychology. I want to understand how they think and what drives their actions. Until we understand them, we cannot predict their behavior. What about military preparations? Admiral Vextar asked. Should we mobilize additional fleets? That might be interpreted as aggression, Chancellor Morden replied. If humans are genuinely motivated by protection of innocence, threatening them could provoke exactly the conflict we want to avoid. Dr. Zelnara activated one final display. I should mention one additional finding from our research. Human settlements show evidence of rapid technological advancement and population growth. Their expansion rate exceeds anything in our historical records. How rapid? Asked the voice. Conservative estimates suggest their population and industrial capacity double every 25 years. At current rates, they could match Confederation resources within 2 centuries. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Species typically required thousands of years to develop significant industrial capabilities. If humans could achieve such growth rates while maintaining their apparent technological advantages, they would eventually dominate the galaxy through sheer numbers. Admiral Thexani studied the projections grimly. We may be watching the emergence of a new galactic power. The question is whether we try to contain them, cooperate with them, or simply stay out of their way. Chancellor Morden stood to address the assembly. I propose we pursue careful diplomatic contact while maintaining defensive readiness. We need information before we can make informed decisions. The vote was unanimous. The Confederation would attempt to understand humanity before deciding whether they represented salvation or doom for the established galactic order. In the depths of space, Captain Sarah Chen received a transmission from Admiral Torres aboard the UES Indomitable. His weathered face appeared on her screen, showing the strain of command in hostile territory. Admiral Thexani stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Confederation dreadnought Eternal Unity. Around her, the greatest fleet ever assembled by the Galactic Confederation moved through hyperspace toward Kepler Station. 200 ships from all 5 empires represented centuries of technological development and military tradition. The fleet included everything the Confederation could bring to bear. Zephyrian science vessels with reality-bending weapons, Korthak heavy cruisers built like flying fortresses, ethereal mine ships that could drive enemy crews insane with psychic attacks, Mineral Lord industrial vessels converted to carry the heaviest armor and biggest guns available, Harmony Alliance command ships designed to coordinate massive fleet actions. Intelligence reports indicated 30 human vessels had gathered at Kepler Station, a remote outpost in neutral space. The Confederation had tried diplomatic contact for months, only to receive polite but firm rejections. The humans claimed they had no central government to negotiate with, and individual ship captains couldn't speak for their entire species. Admiral Thexani found this excuse obviously false. No species could coordinate military operations without central command. The humans were stalling while they prepared for war. Well, the Confederation would give them the war they seemed to want. Translation complete, her navigation officer announced. Kepler Station bearing dead ahead, distance 50,000 kilometers. The main screen showed the human fleet arranged in a loose formation around the ancient station. Their ships looked small compared to the Confederation armada, but Thexani had studied the battle reports. She knew better than to underestimate human capabilities. Signal the fleet, she commanded. Battle formation Delta. All ships maintain defensive screens and prepare for combat. Her communications officer looked up from his console. Admiral, We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. They're requesting parley. Thexani considered the request. Standard procedure called for accepting surrender negotiations, but she doubted the humans intended to surrender. More likely, they wanted to study Confederation capabilities before the fighting began. Accept the transmission, she decided. Let's hear what they have to say. The main screen changed to show the bridge of a human vessel. The man in the center wore simple gray clothing with minimal rank insignia. His hair was streaked with silver, and his eyes held the steady gaze of someone who had seen too much combat. I am Admiral Marcus Torres of the United Earth Navy vessel Indomitable, he said in a calm voice. You have assembled quite an impressive fleet, Admiral Thexani. I am Admiral Thexani of the Confederation Navy, she replied formally. You will surrender your vessels immediately and submit to Confederation authority. Your activities in violation of established galactic law cannot continue. Torres studied her for a moment before responding. Admiral, we both know why you're here. Your established order depends on fear and carefully maintained power balances. Our existence threatens that system simply by proving alternatives are possible. Your vigilante activities destabilize the peace we have maintained for 2,000 years, Thexani countered. Peace? Torres laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. You call systematic exploitation and protection rackets peace? We've seen your records, Admiral. The Confederation maintains order by allowing controlled chaos. Pirates and criminals operate with your tacit approval because they keep smaller species dependent on your protection. Thexani's feathers shifted to angry red. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We provide stability and security for all civilized species. You provide stability for yourselves, Torres replied. Everyone else gets whatever scraps you decide they deserve. We know why you're here, Admiral. You see us as a threat to your established order. You're absolutely right. The communication ended abruptly. Thexani stared at the blank screen for a moment before turning to her tactical officer. All ships, weapons free. Target the human vessels and prepare to fire on my command. The Confederation fleet moved into attack formation. Energy weapons charged with distinctive whines and hums. Missile tubes loaded with warheads capable of cracking moons. The assembled firepower could sterilize entire planets. Thexani watched her tactical display as targeting solutions locked onto human ships. The enemy fleet made no attempt to flee or scatter. They simply waited, as if 30 vessels could somehow stand against 200 of the galaxy's finest warships. All ships report ready, her tactical officer announced. Fire, Thexani commanded. Space erupted in brilliant light as 200 Confederation vessels opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams, plasma bolts, fusion missiles, and exotic weapons converged on the human formation. The combined firepower represented the technological advancement of 5 different civilizations over thousands of years. When the light faded, every human ship remained intact. What happened? Thexani demanded. Her tactical officer worked frantically at his console. Unknown, Admiral. All weapons made contact, but the targets show no damage. Their defensive systems absorbed or deflected everything we threw at them. Before Thexani could respond, her proximity alarms began screaming. Human ships were moving, but not in any formation she recognized. They split up and accelerated to impossible speeds, weaving between Confederation vessels with precision that defied physics. Evasive maneuvers, she ordered. All ships, random pattern defensive movements. It didn't matter. The human vessels moved like they could predict every defensive action. Thexani watched in growing horror as her carefully coordinated fleet was reduced to chaos by 30 ships that seemed to dance between her formations. The first casualties came from the Korthak heavy cruisers. Massive explosions erupted along their hulls as human weapons found weak points in their armor. But the humans weren't trying to destroy the ships. They were surgically removing weapon systems and engines, leaving the crews alive in disabled vessels. Sir, the Zephyrian science vessels are reporting complete system failures, her communications officer announced. Their reality manipulators have been somehow neutralized. More reports flooded in. Ethereal mine ships found their psychic weapons useless against crews they couldn't detect. Mineral Lord industrial vessels, built to withstand asteroid impacts, were being carved apart by human weapons that cut through their armor like it was tissue paper. Thexani realized with sick certainty that she was watching the systematic destruction of everything the Confederation represented. Not through superior firepower, but through complete technological and tactical superiority. Admiral, Incoming transmission from the human flagship, her communications officer reported. Put them on screen, Thexani ordered. Admiral Torres appeared, again, still calm despite the battle raging around his ship. Admiral Thexani, you can stop this anytime you want. Order your fleet to withdraw and we'll let them go. We will not surrender, Thexani declared, even as another of her dreadnoughts lost power and began drifting helplessly. We're not asking you to surrender, Torres replied. We're asking you to stop throwing lives away for no reason. Your crews are brave, but they're outmatched. There's no shame in recognizing reality. Thexani looked at her tactical display. Half her fleet was already disabled. The remaining ships were being systematically hunted by human vessels that moved like ghosts through space. Her crews were fighting desperately, but they might as well have been throwing rocks at starships. How? She asked quietly. How are you doing this? Torres's expression softened slightly. We're humans, Admiral. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We learned to fight because we had no choice. Every threat you can imagine, we've faced something worse. That's impossible. No species could survive such conditions. We didn't just survive, Torres said. We thrived. We turned our predators into pets and our environment into gardens. We learned to work together because individuals couldn't make it alone. We developed technology because we needed every advantage we could get. Another wave of human attacks disabled more Confederation vessels. Thexani watched crews evacuating damaged ships in life pods, knowing the humans would ensure their safety even while destroying their vessels. Your species evolved from prey animals, Torres continued. You learned to hide, to negotiate, to find safety in numbers and cooperation. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how you survived. But you never learned to hunt. And you did, Thexani said. We are hunters, Admiral. We tracked mammoths across continents and brought down creatures 10 times our size. We turned warfare into an art form because we fought each other for thousands of years. Every tactic you can think of we've already used against ourselves. The human admiral paused as another Confederation ship lost its weapon systems. We don't want to conquer you. We don't want your territory or your resources. We just want the galaxy to be a safer place for everyone who can't protect themselves. Thexani studied her tactical display one final time. 3/4 of her fleet was disabled or destroyed. The remainder wouldn't last another 10 minutes against the human assault. She had two choices. Continue fighting until every crew member was dead, or accept the reality that the age of Confederation supremacy was over. All Confederation vessels, this is Admiral Thexani, she broadcast on the fleet frequency. Dr. Zelnara stood in her laboratory aboard the research station Nexus 7, surrounded by the most advanced analysis equipment the Confederation could provide. For 3 months since the Battle of Kepler Station, she had studied every piece of human technology the Confederation had managed to acquire. The results had shattered everything she thought she knew about physics, biology, and the nature of intelligence itself. Her latest subject sat across from her in a simple chair, drinking what humans called coffee from a ceramic mug. Lieutenant Commander David Park of the United Earth Navy had volunteered to serve as a liaison officer, helping the Confederation understand his species. Unlike other aliens, he showed no signs of fear or intimidation in the presence of advanced technology. Tell me about your homeworld again, Dr. Zelnara requested, activating her recording systems. Park smiled, a facial expression that had taken weeks for her to properly interpret. Earth? It's a beautiful place. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. From space, it looks like paradise. But your records indicate it was extremely hostile to life, Dr. Zelnara pointed out. Oh, it tried to kill us constantly, Park agreed cheerfully. Ice ages every few thousand years, supervolcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun, asteroid impacts that wiped out entire ecosystems, predators that could tear us apart without effort, diseases that killed millions, natural disasters on a scale that most species never experience. Dr. Zelnara's skin patterns shifted to indicate confusion. How did your species survive? We adapted. When the ice came, we learned to make fire and clothing. When predators hunted us, we developed tools and teamwork. When diseases struck, we developed medicine. When disasters destroyed our homes, we built better ones. Park set down his coffee and leaned forward. Doctor, do you know what the greatest threat to early human survival was? Environmental disasters, predators, disease, other humans. Dr. Zelnara's instruments detected elevated stress patterns, but Park's voice remained calm. We spent 50,000 years fighting each other, not over resources or territory, but over ideas, beliefs, and sometimes just because we were different. We developed warfare into a science because we had no choice. That sounds horrible. It was, Park agreed. We nearly destroyed ourselves dozens of times, but every war taught us something new. Every conflict forced us to become better at working together, better at solving problems, better at survival. The species that made it to space earned it, through blood and suffering. Dr. Zelnara consulted her notes. Our analysis suggests human technology advanced impossibly fast. 50 years ago, you achieved faster than light travel. Today, your weapons exceed our best designs. Park laughed, another expression that had confused her initially. Doctor, we didn't develop our technology in 50 years. We've been working on it for centuries. The difference is that we developed everything as weapons first, then found peaceful applications later. I don't understand. Take our engines, Park explained. You see faster than light transportation. We see a way to ram enemy ships at relativistic speeds. Our power systems? You see clean energy. We see portable fusion bombs. Our defensive screens? You see protection. We see a way to contain nuclear explosions. Dr. Zelnara felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. Everything you build is designed for warfare? Not designed for it, Park corrected. Capable of it. There's a difference. We learned a long time ago that any technology can become a weapon if you're creative enough. She activated a holographic display showing human ship designs. Explain your military organization. Our analysis suggests you have no central command structure. We don't need one, Park said simply. Every human knows the mission: protect innocent, stop aggression, maintain peace. How we accomplish that is up to individual commanders based on local conditions. But how do you coordinate fleet actions? Without central planning? Park considered the question. Doctor, have you ever seen a wolf pack hunt? I am familiar with predator behavior from our xenobiology databases. Wolves don't have meetings to plan their attacks. They don't need a central commander telling them what to do. Each wolf knows its role, reads the situation, and acts accordingly. The pack succeeds because every individual is competent and committed to the group's success. Dr. Zelnara's instruments indicated elevated anxiety levels in her own physiology. You're saying humans organize like predator packs? We organize like humans, Park corrected gently. We've been pack hunters for millions of years. Cooperation and individual initiative aren't contradictory for us. They're the same thing. The laboratory door chimed and Chancellor Morden entered with his usual diplomatic bearing. The Harmony Alliance leader had requested this meeting to better understand human psychology before the final Confederation vote on humanity's status. Lieutenant Commander Park, Morden said formally, thank you for agreeing to speak with us. Park stood and offered his hand, another human gesture that still puzzled most aliens. Chancellor, always happy to help people understand each other better. Morden settled into a chair designed for his species' physiology. We have been studying your people for months now. Your capabilities are undeniable, but your motivations remain mysterious. Why do you fight? To protect people who can't protect themselves, Park answered immediately. But why? What do you gain from such actions? Park was quiet for a moment, considering his words. Chancellor, what's the most dangerous thing in your galaxy? Pirates, perhaps. Rogue states that threaten civilian populations. And what stops them? The Confederation maintains order through diplomatic pressure and economic sanctions. When necessary, we provide military support to threatened worlds. Park nodded slowly. And if the Confederation decides a particular world isn't worth protecting? Morden shifted uncomfortably. We make difficult decisions based on available resources and strategic priorities, which means some people suffer while you debate politics and economics. Park's voice remained calm, but Dr. Zelnara's instruments detected subtle changes in his emotional state. Humans can't accept that. If someone is being hurt and we can stop it, we act. It's not a choice for us. It's who we are. Even if acting puts you at risk. Especially then. Chancellor Morden exchanged glances with Dr. Zelnara. We don't understand such reasoning. Self-preservation is the primary drive of all intelligent species. Not all species, Park replied. Humans will die for strangers without hesitation, if we believe it's the right thing to do. We call it courage, honor, duty. Other species call it insanity. Dr. Zelnara activated another display, this one showing battle footage from Kepler Station. Explain your tactics during the engagement with our fleet. Park watched the recordings with professional interest. Standard human naval doctrine: identify threats, neutralize weapon systems, preserve enemy lives when possible. We could have destroyed every ship in your fleet, but that would have been wasteful. Wasteful? Dead enemies can't become allies. Defeated enemies who are treated with respect often become friends. We learned that lesson the hard way during our own wars. Chancellor Morden leaned forward. What do humans want from the galaxy? Peace, Park said simply. Real peace. Not the managed conflict you call stability. We want children to grow up without fear of pirates or slavers. We want trade ships to travel without armed escorts. We want justice for those who can't buy it themselves. And if others disagree with your methods? Park's expression grew serious. Then they'll discover why no empire withstands a Terran warship. We didn't ask for this responsibility, Chancellor, but we're the only species in the galaxy that's equipped to handle it. Dr. Zelnara's final question had been weighing on her mind for weeks. Lieutenant Commander, are humans planning to conquer the galaxy? No, Park said without hesitation. Conquest creates the problems we're trying to solve. We don't want to rule anyone. We just want to make sure nobody gets ruled against their will. He stood and moved to the laboratory's viewport, looking out at the stars. Dr. Chancellor, you keep trying to understand humans through the lens of your own experience. You evolved from prey species that learned to avoid conflict through cooperation and compromise. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how you survived. Park turned back to face them. But humans evolved differently. We learned that sometimes good people have to do terrible things to protect innocence from those who would harm them. We learned that peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of justice. Chancellor Morden was quiet for a long moment. The Confederation Council will vote tomorrow on humanity's official status. What should we tell them? Tell them the truth, Park replied. Humans are here to stay. We're not going to conquer anyone, but we're not going to let anyone else conquer innocence either. We're the galaxy's immune system now, whether you like it or not. Dr. Zelnara compiled her final report as Park and the Chancellor left. Her conclusions would reshape galactic politics forever. Humans weren't just another species. They were the natural predators that evolution had never provided to check the expansion of aggressive civilizations. The vote was unanimous. The Confederation offered humanity full membership with unprecedented autonomy. Human warships would patrol the galaxy's dangerous regions backed by Confederation resources and authority.